Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, we've already talked about Megan Gallagher and her trials and tribulations with regards to the Scottish Tory leadership race. And I said in there that there's a lot of shenanigans going on in that race. There seems to be a lot of interference in, so we say, the vote. But with the Tories, this is not the first thing. I did say that in the earlier video. And I also said that I'd be doing a follow-up on it because it's such a big topic. And so, good to my word, I'm doing a follow-up on it because it's such a big topic. Because dirty tricks and vote fixing are nothing new at all within the Tory party. There's been lots of them, many in very recent years. They're historically described and characterised, I think, by dirty tricks, by backhand deals, by you scratch my back, I'll punch you in the face kind of thing. Double dealing, people saying they're going to do one thing, leading people up a garden path, and then stabbing them in the back. Most famous backstabber of all was Gove, of course, who stood when Boris Johnson first stood to become Prime Minister. He stood, split the vote, and it ended up with Theresa May. And God help us all, what a bad day of work that was for the Tories and indeed for the country. She was useless, strange, insectivorous woman who danced in a weird way. But it goes to show that these things are nothing new. They've been around a long time. And asking the question, do the Tories play dirty tricks during their campaigns, is up there and akin to, does the Pope shit in the woods? It's just some of those obvious answers. So of course it's no surprise. And that is why it's very odd that it's odd but not surprising that Priti Patel went out in the first round. She is by far and away one of the most able and experienced politicians that the Tories have got. And yet they cast her aside like an old rag. And yet, why? Well, how the hell did Mel Stride get more backing than Priti Patel? Who's ever heard of Mel Stride? He's got zero chance of winning. And so it's obvious that people voted for Mel Stride not because they wanted Mel Stride to win, but because they didn't want Priti Patel to be on the final ballot. Because they know that if Priti Patel was on the final ballot with anyone other than Kemi Badenoch, Priti Patel would win, because the members up and down the country actually want a Tory to lead the Tory party. And that's weird for them, isn't it? Tory MPs don't want a Tory leading the Tory party. They think that's a terrible idea. And so they had to get rid of Priti. So of course Mel Stride was the stalking horse. He was the useful idiot, the patsy, if you will. He won't last long. He's going to go. It'll be Kemi's the next one they'll have to target to get rid of, because she is insanely popular with the rank and file members. So you have to wonder, who will they go with next? Will it be Mel Stride again? Possibly. Just simply to get rid of Kemi. And then once they got rid of the two Tories, then Mel Stride will go. And then it'll be a race to the finish between probably Jenrick and Tug on That. So yeah, you'll have a little wet. There'll be no one there. But of course, it's this is just this one. Like I say, wait till the next round; it'll be there. Now, it isn't the first time. Like I say, I've mentioned Gove. He's been involved in more of his fair share of this, because he's just an onerous little oik. I think he's gone now, thank heavens. But you couldn't have Gove as Prime Minister. He was not prime ministerial material. He's a clever man. There's no getting away from Gove being a clever man. He is, but clever in a way that is sneaky clever, not just intellectually clever. He's streetwise. He's just not very appetizing to the public. Anyone who listens to him will understand that he can talk a good game, but I don't think he would be capable of delivering because of his lack, I think, of charm. And that's the problem. Boris, on the other hand, and don't let that veneer of idiocy fool you. Boris is an insanely clever man. But he just put that veneer of being a buffoon. And that attracted people. People liked Boris. He had charm. And even now, when you know the things he's done, you know, you'd still kind of like him a bit. You can't help it. He comes across as that. Gove never had that. Now, if you remember, Boris Johnson, his fans switched to Jeremy Hunt, I think it was. That's right, yeah. So when they were voting Boris Johnson in, he had such a massive lead that he was definitely on the ballot. But Gove was second on that, and that would have been the two that went to the members. But they didn't want to risk Gove even being on the ballot. So a lot of Boris Johnson's fan base went to Jeremy Hunt to put Jeremy Hunt on the last two and get rid of Gove. So Gove has been the victim as well as being the perpetrator. You can see why he's a nasty little bit of work though. He's probably gone, and he's been smarting. He's had his arse handed to him and he didn't like it. But anyway, yeah, so he got out and then it was Jeremy Hunt and Boris. And obviously Boris won because nobody in their right mind would vote for Jeremy Hunt to be anything. He has to be appointed. He'd never be voted in, would he? And of course, there was the Andrea Leadsom. I seem to remember 2019, was it? No. That was the same time as Theresa May, 2016, wasn't it? And Andrea Leadsom came from nowhere. She pulled out after beating Gove. So everyone voted for her. Gove had to go. Then immediately, Leadsom pulled out. She'd done her job. She'd got rid of Gove. It's all anti-Gove, isn't it? They don't like him. They really don't. But, of course, it backfires. And that's how Liz Truss got in. She somehow managed to escape and got herself on the final two. And what the Tory party failed to realise is that between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, nobody liked Rishi Sunak. The party didn't, well, the rank and file party members didn't like him, so they voted Liz Truss. But the MPs, they didn't want that. They wanted Rishi. And so they did everything they could to scupper Liz Truss. And that's why, if Kemi, by some strange miracle, does win and becomes the Tory leader, I think she won't be Tory leader for long. They'll do their best to undermine her because they want a little one nation wet, a little soppy tosspot, someone that isn't going to win an election, someone entering no man's land where you're neither one thing or the other, like Bossum. Bossum is neither one thing nor the other. Anyway, leave that there. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.